Hi, and welcome to Wrong Way. I'm Mr. Wrongway, and today we're going to take a look at the Kingsong S19. So, let me tell you more about it. As you can see, fall and winter is approaching very quickly here in Poland, and the color of the S19 couldn't be any more matching to the landscape we are starting to get here in Warszawa. Very beautiful. Love this time of the year. Anyways, as I've mentioned in a prior short video, I didn't do an unboxing of this wheel yet because I wanted to give you guys a good first impressions of this wheel. Now I've put around, 400 kilometers on the clock on this wheel. I've got to know it a bit better, and now I can tell you what my first impressions of it are. And of course, huge thanks to my e-wheel for providing me this wheel for testing purposes. If you want to get a wheel like this in Europe, feel free to check out their site and use my coupon code WRONGWAY for an additional discount. All right, let's go. There. Yes, there. It'll be fun. Pretty steep. Oh yeah. Total control, baby. All right, but enough of that action. Woohoo! Or not. I'll be happy to share with you my first initial thoughts on the unboxing experience and the quality of this wheel and its general shape, features, design, etc, etc. So with that said, let's start with the unboxing experience. So unboxing this wheel didn't feel really any special, and probably when you will get your S19 there might be some changes and some improvements since mine is one of the first batches or sort of a demo unit. With that said, there's a couple of things you need to know in order to not be surprised when you'll be unboxing your S19. First of all, when you'll be taking it out, especially with the air suspension variant that I have. So depending on your preference, you can get either one of those, with the coil being a bit less maintenance and better for cold weather riding, and the air shock a bit more adjustable to your weight, to your style of riding, and also maybe slightly more comfortable, but also more maintenance because you need to just inflate this damper every once in a while. Nevertheless, when you take this thing out of the box, you need to watch out that because here, when you compress the shock and there will be no air in it, you can cut your fingers if you'll be picking it up like this, or just break your finger. So I think there needs to be some sort of warning there from Kingsong that when you take this wheel out of the box, you don't hurt your fingers, because I did hurt them a little bit, but happily I didn't break them. And I think this is a big danger, especially when taking this wheel out of the box with both this hand and this hand grabbing underneath. So just remember about that, because here, as you can see, boom, your fingers will get smashed. Second thing to know is that in the Kingsong manual there is no instruction on what pressure you need to have on your S19 according to your weight. Now, as said, this might change in the final version, but here there was nothing in the instruction manual. I had to look up the pressure on the DNM instruction manual, which was also provided in the box. Maximum pressure here is 250 psi, so that's what I put into this wheel. If you want to further adjust it, I'll talk about this a bit later, you can also set up different geometries on this wheel with those 3 screws that you can see there in the back. And the third thing, and maybe the most important thing to know, is that this wheel will be locked when you'll be receiving it. Now, usually transport mode is no big deal, but here, let me show you why it is. All right, so now the device is locked, and if I just press the button like this, it will just turn on. And this is what you need to do when you'll be turning on your wheel. Because if you just touch it, will set off the alarm, and it's just so loud, and then you will try to like push it around, and it'll be just a disaster in your home. So if you just get this wheel, again, so annoying, just remember to right away download the Kingsong app or Darkness Bot or EUC World, whatever you prefer, and also regarding to which phone you have, and press unlock here on this button, and then you can use the wheel. But it's good that it has alarm, like not gonna lie, it's a good feature when used as intended. Now when you first start using your Kingsong S19, there will be a speed limit for the first 5 kilometers. So the first 5 kilometers you can also go a maximum speed of 40 kilometers an hour, and afterwards you can unlock the top speed of 60 kilometers an hour. All right, with that said, small curb. That's everything to note about the unboxing experience. Now, let me talk you through the features of this wheel. All right, let's put this thing up. Boom. There it is. This thing looks really great. Like, Kingsong used to have good looking wheels, especially from far, because from close, I'll talk to you about this a bit later, but from far, and in general, the design of the Kingsong S19 is something I really like. This just looks so freaking cool. And everywhere I want to put it, in a restaurant, at my home, when I go to a meeting, it pleases my eye. It looks really good. Let's also talk about lighting, because there's, well, a lot of it. So not only do we have our standard Kingsong style lights here, which do seem to be a bit less blinding, but it's still not my favorite kind of beam. Definitely the light on a V13 is a lot better with a nice beam that doesn't blind others. But with the S19 you can also adjust how the light is tilted. I wouldn't say it's the most satisfying mechanism, but it's there. And additionally, you can also dim the brightness of these lights, which is great. So it's on, a bit weaker, and off. So I typically just ride in the weaker setting. In the rear, we also have RGBs here. They're not the brightest ones. I still prefer riding with some sort of additional light. This is the one I have from Decathlon on either my backpack or my helmet. But there's a lot more lighting to the S19, because here we have RGB LEDs in the front, which are sort of inside the structure of the lighting. The power button is also lighting up here next to the charge ports. I think also this whole plastic part here is lighting up. This one, yeah. This wheel is really talking to like a gamer aesthetic, and I couldn't be more happy, because this actually looks cool. It gives you additional visibility, and in the night, well, this is just a showpiece. And I have to take this off, it's just too warm. I didn't expect it to be so warm today. All right, that feels a lot better. Sadly, I can't set up the presets of those lights yet, because there's some sort of bug in the Kingsong app where it doesn't allow me to change colors. Well, it allows me to change colors, it allows me to change presets, but nothing ever changes on the wheel. So I hope this will be resolved. And the party doesn't stop there, because we have also one of the best speakers, well, the best speakers, period, ever put into a wheel. Listen to that, it's so much bass. And then the RGBs light up. It's so loud. With some elements of the base, it starts to sort of vibrate. I don't know if it's the wheels of the sliders inside or some other part. There is some sort of vibration which annoys me a lot in particular songs, but this speaker is amazing. Now, I don't want to annoy people. I don't want to like full blast it every time I'm just riding around, but sometimes I even put it on instead of my JBL Flip at home because it just looks so cool, and it's a speaker. It's literally a party on wheels, and then with all of the RGB, I'm just like, I'm getting hyped. Also on group rides, it's nice to have some music, and yeah, you have the option. You don't have to use them, but they are there. So now let's talk a little bit about the parts that you'll be touching the most on your wheel, which is the pedals of your feet, the side pads, and no seat, because Kingsong forgot to send me a seat, or they didn't want to send me a seat, so I don't have a seat. But check out Freshly Charged video if you want to check out how the seat is looking on the S19, as well also the width of the wheel. We'll talk about that as well. So the Kingsong S19 actually has the same pedals. Let's start with the pedals. The same pedals as the Kingsong S22, so you can use your NyloNove on those as well. Studs seem to be a bit more protruding. They don't annoy me that much, but I would still prefer pins like you get on bicycle pedals. They're not the worst though. They're definitely not the worst. But there is no angle adjustment, so they're relatively flat. They stay in place with the locking mechanism, which is great. But there is also no height adjustment now, which we did have in the Kingsong S22. If you really want to get the biggest comfort, just get the NyloNove pedals for this wheel. Further on, there's actually two sets of pads that you get on the S22. So this is the wider set with the nice cushion here close to the shell, and the wider back pad and wider front pad. So this actually can velcro off, and then you can put a narrower pad instead of this pad, but I wouldn't do it because this is a brake pad you need on this wheel. Then in the front, you can also take this off. Sadly, this is with double-sided tape. No idea why they chose to do it like this. But underneath this pad is another pad, and this pad is not as comfortable as this pad. So you put pads on this wheel. Not really sure what they chose to do it, but this is as you get it on the Kingsong S19. And a lot of people were asking themselves, well, is this actually comfortable? How is this setup? And to be honest, it's good enough. Like, I really like riding on this wheel, and the pad setup is annoying me a little bit. Like, it's definitely not a setup I would want to have on a wheel, but I make do with it. It's not the worst too. So let me tell you why it is like this. Well, first of all, the most annoying part is the speaker, and the speaker needs to be pushed back a lot, because you can see you have your leg here, and this cuts right where your leg is breaking, even with the back pad. So this is very annoyingly placed. This needs to be either pushed back, slanted, I don't know, something. Like, there is a way where I put my foot like this and I don't rub against it so much. But when you stand on the wheel as you should, you touch the speaker before you touch the upper pad. As you can see here, boom. This is digging into my calf, so I need to like stand a bit wider, and then I don't feel it. So it's not a deal breaker really, but it is just a bit frustrating that they didn't think of it in the S19 design. When it comes to the brake pad, it's very tall. It's not as big, but I think it's pretty much enough for this wheel. This wheel is super torquey, super agile, super responsive, so it doesn't need the biggest pad. I would like to have it a bit further back and maybe just adjustable, so you have a couple options, and also a bit longer. When it comes to this middle piece, it's amazing. Super comfortable, super cushy, makes you stand really comfortably on the S19. It's also narrower than the S22, so this feels just nimble, agile, feels really great between your legs. So in the front, this pad is also really nicely shaped, and the best part about it is that it's very, very soft. It's like a pillow, really. So this pad is really comfortable to push against when you want to accelerate, but it is really close to your shin. So I have the wheel actually tilted forward slightly, so this pad is just a bit further forward when I'm riding on the wheel. It is a bit more difficult now to turn with the wheel when you're leaning, because you can't put your leg like here because the pad is in the way. Usually I'll try to like put the leg in front of the pad if I want to turn really sharply, but this is what we get. Now I would definitely prefer to have something adjustable, something that I could just tailor to my legs. And additionally, the jump pad is just symbolic, I would say. The jump pad doesn't do much really. It's very shallow here and it's very far from your foot if you're trying to jump or grab the wheel. So it is good if you want to run off from the wheel in case something happened. With that said, I know there is stuff that could be better on the S19 regarding the pads, but as it is, I'm still enjoying this wheel so much. And if I don't need the range, which this one has a limited amount of, well, most of the time I'll actually take this because it's just so comfy, so nice to ride, so easy to push around, so well balanced. But we'll get to that in a second. When it comes to the charge port here, nothing really did change from the S22 except for having custom rubber here, which I hope would hold up a bit longer than the stock ones on the S22. GX16-5 port, so usual 100 volt setup. All of your other 100 volt chargers will work with this wheel. I did charge it at 9 amps, no problem. I don't know what the limit is, presumably around 10 amps or 9 amps, I don't really know. But really quick charging, 2 hours for a full charge, and just about 3 hours for a full charge with a stock charger. So really quick charging out of the box. You can also see the radiator here in the back, which is hopefully keeping the S19 very cool and cooler than the S22. The lift switch here in the front is something that others were complaining about, but I love it. It's something that is so cool. You need to, well, get used to it so you don't hold it when you're riding seated or when you want to just start on a wheel. But this is just so comfortable. I lift it with one hand, I put it down, I ride a little bit, I want to put it down on a kickstand, just hold it, put it down, back, up again, lift it up, and then hold it, lift it up. It's just so comfortable and so easy to use. If you just need to lift the wheel a lot of times, or you just like putting it on the kickstand because you just have many stops on the way, this is perfect. I like it so much. And it even works with my gloves, but those gloves are compatible with a phone. So I guess the gloves have to be phone compatible in order to work with this lift switch. I love it. You can turn it off, but I think it's worth giving a shot. Now in this vicinity also we have the trolley handle, and I did fit it with a little bit of a Velcro here and there because it was doing a bit of sounds when doing bigger off-road or jumping on curbs. But with that said, it is pretty sturdy. I do like how it doesn't like wobble to the sides. It doesn't lock on the top, which is I think the biggest downside of it. Maybe they could fix it in a future batch to just lock in place on this upper spot. But other than that, I was thinking that this trolley will be terrible. I was genuinely ready to make a very sad trombone noise that all of the good Kingsong trolley handles are gone. But this thing is nice to push around. Like, I didn't expect it. The biggest problem is when you want to stop, because then it wobbles. You need to stop like this. But it's so stable, so well balanced, this wheel, that actually I don't mind going around with it in stores. It would be a bit nicer to have it a bit taller. It would be nicer to have it lock in place. But it's definitely usable, and in my opinion, a lot better than what we had on the Kingsong S22. Because it is also a more well-balanced wheel. And you can also take it out very easily. Well, I was thinking it would be a disappointment, but this is really not too bad. Now this wheel also does have a display, and yes, I'm recording it later because I forgot about it. So you can see the display is showing speed and a stupid GIF underneath. Well, it's not stupid, it's just unnecessary. So once you stop, it'll show you the percentage and the battery. Why, Kingsong, can't you just have this battery while moving? It fits. With that said, the display is pretty readable. It's a nice size, but it doesn't have a brightness setting. So I hope with an update you can dim it down, because it's literally just like a light you have on when this thing is charging at home. And when you look down when it's dark, it's just literally almost blinding you. It's maybe just a bit recessed, so you can't see it that well just looking down. It would be nicer to have it more in a frontward setting, but it's not too bad. And another thing I forgot to say was about the mudguards. So the mudguards, you have a pretty lengthy mudguard here in the front. Could be longer, but it's not too bad. And in the back, the usual Kingsong style, you can see that there is quite a bit of mud building up in the back sand. So it could be a bit more rounded, but not too bad, not too bad. Kickstand looks good too, but probably will break if you have a bigger fall. Oh yeah, by the way, this thing, I don't know why it's so wobbly. Not so wobbly. Here it's very wobbly. Weird. Alright, but now it's time to talk about suspension. Whoops! And the suspension is something really similar to what we did have on the S22. And it's both a good thing and a bad thing, although there is some improvements to be shown. So first of all, these bolts in the back look a bit more durable, especially the ones here. These ones broke on my original S22, but I hope that these other ones will not break. So those you need to tighten up every once in a while. Well, we have to see about that in the long run, how this works. There's 13 centimeters of travel, so amazing. And you can also set up the geometry of the suspension by changing those, changing the heights of those 3 screws. You can put them either up or down. Inside you have also rollers like you did on the S22 Pro. We will see how long they will last. I think it's still not an optimum solution for the long run, but the suspension is very smooth, very nice. And with the settings I have on the air suspension, which is about 250 psi on the positive chamber, but 70 on the negative chamber, and in the middle, it's pretty comfortable. Now, I will try out different settings as well, but as it is for now, it's just a very comfy, nice feeling wheel with a bit lower pedals, which is not the best for off-road, but for city riding, dude, it's amazing. And talking about off-road, we also have a off-road tire on this wheel. I guess it's the Kenda here. Kenda off-road tire like we get on the Veteran Sherman S or Veteran Sherman Max. I know that a lot of you probably know this tire. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but actually with the weight of this wheel, with the weight distribution, with the pedal setting, it works good enough for me. So I will be probably changing it for something else, but for most riders, just chill riders around the city where this wheel I think is destined for, it is, I think, good enough. It doesn't have much train tracking. It's a very predictable tire, but it needs a lot of leaning in order to turn sharply. So if I want to turn really sharply on the Kingsong S19, I'm not only blocked by the pads, which I am hitting because I can't bend my knee a lot, I'm also limited by the tread of the tire. Alright, but let's talk a bit about the quality of this wheel. And just like with other Kingsongs, far away it looks amazing, modern, sleek, technologically super advanced, etc, etc. But from up close there is a couple nitpicks that I'll have to do. First up, there's this rubber piece that started just gluing by itself. I'm not really sure what the purpose of it is. Then second of all, here if you look inside, the silicone, just like white silicone on the cable, just doesn't really look all that, you know, professional. And some of the plastic pieces are just not that well assembled. Like the plastic is good quality, but it just doesn't fit all that well. Like this one does, but this one doesn't. Like this is a bit of nitpicking because I think still the wheel is pretty amazing. We'll have to see also about the durability of this wheel in the long run. There's also a couple of app features I wanted to talk to you about. Now, I'll just make it really brief. We'll leave the rest to the main review. But first of all, there is a new function in the S19, which is max charge. So you can set up the limit to which level of charge the S19 should charge to extend your battery life, for example, to 90%, 70%, 80%, whatever you prefer. Second feature is the smart BMS, so you can always check the state of your battery cells if there's no cell that has a different voltage, like radically different voltage, because then there might be a damaged cell in your unit. And thirdly, there is a alarm feature, which I've shown you initially in the first clips of this video, which is really cool because it's an actually loud alarm. I am curious though how much battery it drains over time. All right, but let's conclude it all really quickly. For the experience that I have throughout the first 432 kilometers that I've put on this wheel, I will not talk much about performance, about range, but all of the other stuff, because this will be left to the ride review of this wheel, which will be coming sometime soon, probably after the extreme ride review and some other videos. With that said, I think that this wheel was really needed in the market. I think that if it has good water resistance, and I was riding in rain for now, didn't have any issues, but we'll have to check on that after a while and open the wheel up. This wheel just hits such a sweet spot for riders that just want a wheel that does all of the stuff but doesn't have excessively big weight. Now, I know 33 kilograms is not that light, and we used to have wheels that are 20 kilograms, and then we got a, oh wow, this is a statue of a pooping dog. All right, hold on, hit the like for the pooping dog statue. That's a lot more important than the video. Good boy. No, I want to interrupt you. Anyways, with all of the big wheels coming out, the Sherman S, the Patton is also pretty heavy, 40 kilograms, the Extreme. This is something that I can recommend, well, if it'll keep working well, for people that just want to ride, want to go to work, want to go back, maybe some groceries, no long 100-kilometer rides, because this probably has around 70-80 kilometers of range. I'll need to check on that. This is just a wheel that I think will hit the sweet spot for so many riders, for so many commuters, and with a smart BMS, with good suspension, well, I think that Kingsong is really kicking off with a strong wheel this year. And for me, honestly, this is a underdog of this year. I'm showing this wheel to so many people. I think it's so light. Well, some have a bit of trouble with the pad setup. It's a bit of an annoyance, but after a while, let me tell you, this is exciting. I'm super excited about this. I guess with that said, this is my first impressions of the Kingsong S19. And if you're still here, leave a like on the video, subscribe to see more content like this. I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.